wish somebody else was here. I wish somebody else was here.
Somebody will come. Demigods in person.
Yeah, I know.
And hopefully,
I wish there was a
hopefully
human being or two.
We'll be here.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Jai Radha Madhava, Chandra Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava, Chandra Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana. Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana. Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar, Radha Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar, Radha Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. I Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Saptishri Shumat Spirit Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavam Ki Jai Grantatma Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Prananda all glory to the Tamagavati, all glory to the Gauranga. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Vishnu Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 4, verse 1, 2, 3, 4. Verse 4 has a purport. I'll read the chapter in a summary. Uh, the Hansaguya prayers offered to the Lord by Prajapati Daksha. After Maharaj Parikshit appealed to Shukadev Goswami to describe in further detail the creation of the living entities within this universe, Shukadev Goswami informed him that when the Prachetas, the 10 sons of Prachinabarhi, entered the sea to execute austerities, the planet Earth was neglected because of the absence of a king. Naturally, many weeds and unnecessary trees grew, and no food grains were produced. Indeed, all the land became like a forest. When the 10 Prachetas came out of the sea and saw the entire world full of trees, they were angry with the trees and decided to destroy them all to rectify the situation. Thus the Prachetas created wind and fire to burn the trees to ashes. Soma, however, the king of the moon and the king of all vegetarian, forbade the Prachetas to destroy the trees. The trees are the source of fruit and flowers for all living beings. Just to satisfy the Prachetas, Soma gave them a beautiful girl, born of Pramlocha Apsara. By the seminar of all the Prachetas, Daksha was born of that girl. In the beginning, Daksha created all the demigods, demons, and human beings. But when he found the population not increasing properly, he took sannyas and went to Vindhya mountain. He went severe austerities and offered Lord Vishnu a particular prayer known as Hansa Guya, by which Lord Vishnu became very pleased with him. The contents of the prayer were as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul, Lord Hari, controller of both the living entities and the material nature. He is self-sufficient and self-effulgent. As the subject matter of perception is not the cause of our perceiving senses, so the living entity, although within his body, does not cause his eternal, the Supersoul, who is the cause of creation of all the senses. Because of the living entity's ignorance, his senses are engaged with material objects. Since the living entity is alive, he can understand the creation of this material world to some extent, but he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the conception of the body, mind, and intelligence. Nevertheless, great sages who are always in meditation can see the personal form of the Lord in their hearts. Since an ordinary living being is materially contaminated, his words and intelligence are also material. Therefore, he cannot ascertain the Supreme Personality of Godhead by manipulating his material senses. The conception of God derived through the material senses is inaccurate because the Supreme Lord is beyond the material senses. But when one engages his senses in devotional service, the eternal Supreme Personality of God is revealed on the platform of the soul. When that Supreme Godhead becomes the aim of one's life, one is said to have attained spiritual knowledge. The Supreme Brahman is the cause of all causes, because he originally existed before the creation. He is the cause of everything, both material and spiritual, and his existence is independent. However, the Lord has a potency called avidya, the illusory energy, which induces the false arguer to think himself perfect, and which induces the illusory energy to bewilder the soul. That Supreme Brahman, the Super Soul, is very affectionate to his devotees. Upon them, he discloses his form, name, attributes, and qualities to be worshipped within this material world. Unfortunately, however, those who are materially absorbed worship various demigods. As the air passes over a lotus flower and carries the scent of the flower with it, or as air sometimes carries dust and therefore assumes colors, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears as the various demigods, according to the desires of his various foolish worshippers. But actually, he is the Supreme Truth, Lord Vishnu. To fulfill the desires of his devotees, he appears in various incarnations, and therefore there is no need of demigods. Being very satisfied by the prayers of Daksha, Lord Vishnu appeared before Daksha with 8 arms. The Lord was dressed in yellow garments and had a blackish complexion. Understanding that Daksha was very eager to follow the path of enjoyment, the Lord awarded him the potency to enjoy the illusory energy. The Lord offered him the daughter of Panchajana named Ashikni, who was suitable for Maharaj Daksha to enjoy in sex. Indeed, Daksha received his name because he was very expert in sex life. After awarding this benediction, Lord Vishnu disappeared. I just, before I do first, I just want to say one thing about this. Since this part of the in prayer, since an ordinary materially contaminated, his words and intelligence are also material. Therefore, he cannot ascertain the Supreme Personality of Godhead by manipulating his material senses. Anyway, this is something I've been thinking about a fair amount lately, the atheists and the mentality of the atheists to deny the existence of God. Different kinds of atheists. Some of them are like rabid atheists. They preach very strenuously against the existence of God. There's no God. There's no proof of God. We have to have proof of God by logic and reason and experiment my father, he was an atheist, and he used to he tried to preach to him the mistake. Tried to preach to him when I became a devotee, and got into arguments, and that wasn't good. But anyway, one of his arguments as an atheist was that, well, if God wants me to believe in him, then why doesn't he just come before me and stand right here and himself to me? Then I'll. Uh, anyway, but of course Krishna is not obligated to us to anyone to appear before him by demand or request or anything like that. But the atheist is anyway. The thing that I was thinking of just recently uh, is that so the atheists were very strenuous in their denial of the existence of God. As there's so many people in every religious tradition, certainly in the Vedic tradition, who have direct experience of the form of Krishna, the personality of Krishna, or form of the existence of God the Father in Christianity, or and there's so many people throughout history who have the mercy of Krishna and who have direct experience of Krishna. Not to mention souls who are sent directly by Krishna to like Prabhupada, to the material world to preach and give Krishna to all the living entities. And people, so many people through history, God is like this, his form is like this, his nature is like this. I have direct experience. Many people throughout even our understanding, the current understanding of what history is, a few hundred or a few thousand years, and people have reliably related their experience of God. And the atheist just said, no, don't believe it. Nobody's ever seen God. And it's just blanket denial of anybody else's uh, relationship, their experience and revelations of God. Just nope, God doesn't exist. It's ludicrous. It's like, why would you why would you say that? Just blanket denial of everyone else's experience. That's not even called by any kind of material standards. But they do that. Anyway, that's just a thought I was having. It's something I've been thinking about lately. So I'll start to read verses 1, 2, and 3, and then go through text 4 with a purport, with word by word and everything. The text one is Sri Rajavacha Devasura Rinam Sargo Naganam Rigapakshinam Samasikas Tvaya Prokto Yastu Swayambhuve Antare Tasheva Vyasam Ichchami Gyatum Te Bhagavanyata Anusargam Niya Shaktya Sasarja Bhagavan Paraha. The blessed king said to Shukadev Goswami, my dear Lord, the demigods, demons, human beings, nagas, beasts, and birds were created during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu. You have spoken about this creation briefly in the third canto. Now I wish to know about it elaborately. I also wish to know about the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he brought about the secondary creation. Text 3 is Sri Sutta Uvacha Iti Samprashnam Akarnya Rajashya Badanayani Pratinandya Mahayogi Jagada Muni Saptamaha. Sutta Goswami said, O great sages assembled at Naimisharanya, after the great yogi Shukadeva heard King Parikshit's query, he praised it and thus replied. Text 4 with the purport is Shri Shukovacha Yada Prachetasa Putra Dasha Prachinibarhisha Antak Samujad Udmagna Jadrishurgam Drumer Vritam Shri Shukovacha Yada Prachetasa Putra Dasha Prachinibarhisha Antak Samujad Unmagna Jadrishurgam Drumer Vritam Shri Shukovacha Shukadev Goswami said, Yada when Prachetasaha, the Prachetas, Putra, the sons, Dasha, 10, Prachinabarhisha, of King Prachinabarhi, Antak Samudrat, from within the ocean, Udmagna, emerged, Tadrishu, they saw, Gam, the entire planet, Drumai, Vitam, covered with trees. Translation, Shukadev Goswami said, when the 10 sons of Prachinibarhi emerged from the waters in which they were performing austerities, they saw that the entire surface of the world was covered by trees. I'll repeat it. Shukadev Goswami said, when the 10 sons of Prachinabarhi emerged from the waters in which they were performing austerities, they saw that the entire surface of the world was covered by trees. Prabhupada's purport. When King Prachinabarhi was performing Vedic rituals in which the killing of animals was recommended, Narada Muni, out of compassion, advised him to stop. Prachinabarhi understood Narada properly and then left the kingdom to perform austerities in the forest. His 10 sons, however, were performing austerities within the water, and therefore there was no king to see to the management of the world. When the 10 sons, the Prachetas, came out of the water, they saw that the earth was overrun with trees. When the government neglects agriculture, which is necessary for the production of food, the land becomes covered with unnecessary trees. Of course, many trees are useful because they produce fruits and flowers, but many other trees are unnecessary. They could be used as fuel, and the land cleared and used for agriculture. When the government is negligent, less grain is produced. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:44, Krishigo Raksha Vanijam Vaishyakarma Svabhavajam. The proper engagement for Vaishyas, according to their nature, are to farm and to protect cows. The duty of the government and the Kshatriyas is to see that members of the third class, the Vaishyas, who are neither Brahmanas nor Kshatriyas, are thus properly engaged. Kshatriyas are meant to protect human beings, whereas Vaishyas are meant to protect useful animals, especially cows. Om Again Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Vitamina Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Staptang Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lavita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpati Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurang Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just a couple things before the purport is one is this verse that everyone knows Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. This is you don't see it very much today, but early in ISKCON there was a very well, common thing to see that one devotee would go just in the course of a day, not any particular time maybe, but upon meeting somebody, especially if you hadn't seen him for a while or her for a while, who would say, please accept my humble obeisances. And then you would bow down on the floor, sometimes dandavats, but mostly, but not always, sometimes just hands and knees, legs, but you would say, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu, bow down and say out loud, both of you, you say out loud the Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha, and say it out loud, then stand up and say, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. And you don't see it very much these days. I'm trying to bring it back in Boston. I offer obeisances to the other devotees. It doesn't have to be to a senior devotee. It can be offer obeisances to any devotee. Generally, yeah. And so it's a very good custom, and I encourage devotees to uh, practice that. Take it up and do it. Sometimes it's not just on rare occasions, but uh, just about any time you can do it. And yeah, nowadays the custom has become uh, just say fold your hands or not fold your hands and say Dandavat Pranams, which is nice if you say it sincerely with feeling and mean it. But it's nice. But I but this practice of actually offering obeisances, saying the mantra out loud, and then saying all glories to Srila Prabhupada is a very good thing. Uh, okay. So yeah. So the other thing I wanted to do before I do the verse is I talked the other day about the value of association with the disciples of Prabhupada. Of course, any disciple, senior, older, or junior, equal, any association with devotees is supremely valuable. But when you have a chance to associate with someone who had direct contact with Prabhupada, try to take advantage of it as much as you can. And we have three devotees here. Taraka Yadunandan's wife, Mother Taruni, who, Mother Taruni and her husband Yadunandana they started going to the temple in the summer or fall of 1966 in New York City, 26 Second Avenue. And they went to a few times there, and they indirectly in Prabhupada's association and the association of all the earliest disciples. So take advantage of that, of their association. And this is a, a recording that I had. I'm going to read the transcript of it, but it's a recording that I had Mother Taruni do of, let's see, oh, I know where it is, of a dream that Mother Taruni had of Krishna. And, I just want to read that. This is Mother Taruni's dream of Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. So in the dream, I was all of a sudden, I found myself aware of a deep, overwhelming sense of hopelessness, so unending, unlimited sense of hopelessness, similar to the idea of samsara without any mercy, just no way out. And then, just as that was engulfing my consciousness 100%, there was Krishna. I remember him being kind of higher, so I was looking up. And in the dream, the whole time, everything had a sequence and yet a sense of almost happening simultaneously. So there is Krishna, and he is so beautiful, and he has an effulgence, which is also very captivating and beautiful. But the most relishable and captivating aspect when I looked at the Lord was the beauty of his face, particularly his eyes and his smile. His smile was just so endearing and lovely, and his eyes were just penetrating. And beauty is the main thing I remember. Everything. He was just so beautiful, so captivatingly beautiful. And then, and I could see the effulgence around him, which was lovely, but it was his eyes and his smile. And then he spoke to me with his eyes. But I heard words, but somehow I knew they were coming from his magnanimous eyes. He said, there is no problem that my beauty is not sufficient to dissolve. And then the feeling of snow melting on a sunny day or fog dissipating when the sun comes out, the sense of evaporation or lifting. And I could see that the hopelessness I was feeling was not substantial, that it was just like so much fog. I could have put my hand through it the whole time. It was not substantial. So the sense of illusion being so deep and so thick that it seems real was lifted. And again, it happened simultaneously that I kind of, from his beauty, I knew what he said, but he did not speak it, and it was almost simultaneous, like I was realizing it as he spoke it, or just before. It was just so amazing. And then the whole time I was just relishing this beauty, which the beauty contained all mercy, all love, all strength, all everything desirable. It was completely full of everything, fulfilling, full and fulfilling. And so I was just there relishing. I didn't do anything. I didn't bow down. I didn't say anything, but I just was relishing his beauty. Then his effulgence began to grow, and as it got brighter, I couldn't see the beauty of his lovely face, his smile, his eyes. The effulgence was shrouding. So I woke, and the effulgence was beautiful. And also, I had a sense of a lot of those, it had a sense of a lot of those qualities, but just not that personal, loving, merciful interaction, exchange, relationship. So I woke and I thought, I've seen Krishna. Wow. And I've seen the illusion. Now nothing can hurt me. There's just the illusion that is so obvious from this point of view that I've been given this gift. But then so for weeks I was kind of like on cloud nine, feeling like I was under that care and connection to Krishna. And at some point, the life took over and I started thinking that, oh, that was a gift. That was mercy. And, normal anxieties and worries began to come into my life again. And I also thought of the Sri Ishopanishad. This is a separate thought. I also thought of the Sri Ishopanishad and how the verse toward the end says, please remove, oh my Lord, please remove your glaring effulgence so I can see your form of bliss and knowledge. So it all seemed very shastric and real. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. I have the recording of that too, if anybody wants it. It's just the realization of Mother Trudy and her dream. I have no doubt in my mind that she directly saw Krishna. It's not an ordinary dream or her imagination or anything like that. I just that because it's really nice. And I did hear Prabhupada talking in a lecture recently about that same point that Mother Charuni made at the end about the effulgence of Krishna, and that Isopanish verse that said, "Please take away your glaring, your effulgence, so I can see your face." And yeah, and Prabhupada he talked about that, and and I had a little tiny bit of understanding that every conditioned soul is covered by Maya illusion in the material world, but then uh, the Krishna's face is also covered by his effulgence. So it's a whole different realm of covering of Krishna's form, his face, but it's also a covering of Krishna's face. So yeah, so even in the Isopanishad, and Isopanishad was one of the first books that Prabhupada gave in the 67 or 68. So obviously Prabhupada considered it a very important Shastra. And so we should read it. All the devotees should definitely read it. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the purport. And I just talked until the end, the last couple of days. So today I promised to stop before the end and leave time for other people to talk. So, yeah, so King Prachinabharhi was performing Vedic, and in which the killing of animals was recommended. Narada Muni, out of compassion, advised him to stop. So Prachinabharhi understood Narada Muni properly and then left the kingdom to perform austerities in the forest. one about that is that he and many uh, people in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedas, they could understand their intelligence was very sharp, and they could understand things in spiritual instruction very quickly. Nowadays we have to, I'll speak personally about myself, is that we have I have to hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. My and to get me to surrender is a difficult process for Guru and Krishna. And it's not like I can hear an instruction once and immediately go off, take sannyas. But it had to be has to be beat into my thick skull over and over, time after time. So anyway, it doesn't matter as long it matters. We can save ourselves a lot of trouble and suffering if we can learn our Krishna conscious lessons quickly and have some sufficient determination to follow instructions very quickly. But whether we're very quick students or slow students, uh, the main thing is we have to learn, and not and we do learn. Uh, we do learn, but generally it takes quite Kali Yuga, like Prabhupada would say. Sometimes I have to spend gallons of blood to make one devotee. That means it's hard to make to get someone to understand and surrender to Krishna in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is a very difficult age, the most difficult age. That's why Lord came and gave the most simple process for Krishna consciousness, chanting, dancing, feasting, and if somebody has the capacity, is inquisitive, then philosophy. But anyone can chant, anyone can dance, and anyone can eat delicious prasadam. So it has to be very simple in Kali Yuga, very easy to do, because Kali Yuga, we're so unqualified. But King Prachinabar, he understood immediately. That's the whole purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Originally, the Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Vedanta Sutra. The sutra means codes. So there's very short statements like Chamajitaha or Aham Brahmasmi, Tatwamasi, different codes, very short, but the people, uh, advanced souls, not Kali Yuga people, that could understand these codes. But in Kali Yuga, uh, Srila Vyasadeva gave the natural commentary on the on the Vedanta Sutras, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is uh, mostly in story form, many different stories, and there are all the transcendental lessons are contained in the stories. And so this is necessary for the fallen souls in Kali Yuga, is given the Bhaktivedanta purports to the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which are essential for us, especially those of us everyone, but especially for those of us who identify and are surrendered within the ISKCON society, Prabhupada's movement, which he established. We have to read Prabhupada's purport. Uh, Sometimes devotees read through the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, just the verses, which is okay. You can do it just just to follow the sequence of the verses and the stories, just to get an idea of the overall Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. But it should never think that nobody should ever think that somehow the Prabhupada's purports aren't necessary. They are essential for our understanding of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Isopanishad and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's good to know all the stories, but we can't understand them unless we hear it from Prabhupada and his spirit and discipline. Don't ever think that can never think that we don't need it. We do need it. Yeah. And then we can understand things very quickly uh, in the in Prabhupada's books, but generally it takes some time for us to absorb the lessons and act with determination on the instructions from Prabhupada, from our spiritual master. We're still, in general, rebellious and resistant, and that's not unusual. Definitely not for me, but we have to learn and we have to apply our instructions. Anyway, so the main point, the role of the government and the engagement, proper engagement of the people, especially in this verse, the Vaishyas, in the proper management of the um, country, the resources of the country. Specific uh, reference here is to uh, farming and cow protection and trees. Prabhupada didn't want the trees to be cut down just willy-nilly just for aesthetics or something like that, but is clearly authorized here. The trees can be cut down for firewood and specifically for clearing the land for agriculture, the production of food grains. All living entities subsist on food grains. So when the government is negligent, less grain is produced, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 1844, Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. The proper engagement according to their nature are to farm and to protect cows. The duty of the government and the Kshatriyas is to see that the members of the third class, the Vaishyas, who are neither Brahmins nor Kshatriyas, are thus properly engaged. Kshatriyas are meant to protect human beings, whereas Vaishyas are meant to protect useful animals, especially cows. Of course, this is Gita Nagari, and we have the established cow protection here. Which is essential to show, essential for ourselves, essential for ISKCON, and Prabhupada emphasized the farms, ISKCON farms, and the protection of cows time after time after time. So the farm is crucial. The city temple is crucial. The farm temple is crucial. Everything in Krishna consciousness is crucial. There's nothing insignificant, unimportant in Prabhupada's instructions. All of Prabhupada's instructions are equally important and meant for the benefit and welfare of everyone. But after time, he emphasized the ISKCON farm community centered around cow protection and the growing of the fruits and vegetables and grains. And of course, he emphasized the use of the oxen to uh, plow the field. The cow is the mother for more milk than the calves can drink, and for a much longer period of time. So the arrangement of Krishna is that the cow gives milk specifically for the human beings. And so many things Prabhupada said about milk, liquid religiosity. In some places, he said, I know one place I heard him say recently was, where it's in a purport, that one cannot make spiritual advancement unless he drinks large quantities of milk. Pretty, pretty heavy saying. One cannot. So the cow is the mother, and she gives milk specifically for the human society by Krishna's arrangement. It's not an accident. It's not a development of evolution through time that human beings figured out that they could milk a cow and that it would be good to drink. Everything is given by Krishna simultaneously in its most state. The demigods, all the species of lives are created simultaneously at the beginning of creation, and and along with all the laws for humankind, and all the social and political and cultural arrangements, and Krishna's arrangements for the nourishment of human society. Everything is given by Krishna directly, uh, and one of Krishna's specific arrangements is the cow gives milk for human beings. And it's necessary for spiritual development. And the oxen is the bull is considered the father, and they're meant to plow the fields and help in the production of food grains, just as the husband or the father goes out and works in the fields to grow food for his family. So the bull is considered the father because he helps in the production for human beings. So the cow and the bull are Krishna's arrangement for human society, for the maintenance of human society. And yeah, okay, I better stop there. A few minutes. Any questions or comments? If not, I can keep talking for a couple more minutes.
Hare
Again.
Krishna.
Yep.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Always very wonderful to hear from you.
Hare Krishna.
And I was wondering, oh, like you were saying, the different all the aspects of Prabhupada's mission are important. But it seems like, yeah, I guess how to like I don't know, become convinced of that, if because it seems like generally we kind of prefer a certain service, or we're more convinced that, like, I don't know, prasadam distribution is like the thing that I should be doing with my life, or that's the most effective in spreading Krishna consciousness. But sometimes we're found in a position where we have a different service, like maybe I'm distributing books, but I don't think that that's, I don't have like full realization that that's the most important thing. But then it's like what our guru wants us to do, so we know in our heart that we should do it. So I guess how to become convinced of the absolute nature of Prabhupada's different missions.
I mean, that's just a fact. It's just a fact of life that all of Prabhupada's instructions are equally important, of course. But within that, if you get a direct instruction from your own spiritual master, or do this, then that's the most important thing for each individual disciple, and you should take that up fully, but to the best of your ability. But um, sometimes a devotee, even everyone has their own nature, and you may, some devotees can take, like some devotees went out from Boston, they went out to Los Angeles recently for brahmacharis, and they got some training on book distribution from a disciple of Prabhupada who's been distributing books for over 50 years. And he's still doing it. And so, I mean, some devotees are like that, and they can take up one service and carry it out for their whole life. And other devotees, they may shift and do different services over the course of their life. Every service is equally pleasing to Guru and Krishna. If you can't do one service, you can do another service. Like I used to go on be sent out on book distribution when I was a young man, but I wasn't very good at it. I would go out for a while, a month or a few months or something like that. But inevitably, every time I couldn't handle it anymore. I knew the importance of it. It was so heavily emphasized back then, uh, as it is now, but definitely back then it was so heavily emphasized. The book distribution by Prabhupada and by all the temple presidents, the GBC. So I knew I should go out on, I have to go out on book distribution. I wasn't good at it, couldn't do it very well, and inevitably I'd always end up back in the kitchen washing pots or going out doing the shopping. And I could do that very happily and with great satisfaction. Anyway, the conch shell is going to blow. But definitely you should know for a fact that all the Prabhupada's instructions for all the different services, they're all crucial. They're all equally important. Okay, the cricket doors are opening. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Reach.
Whoa, man. I, We chocolate and moon, the same arms in my baby heart. Not all Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.